Jesus Christ, I have this thing where I start talking Spanish. We're going to wait 5 minutes to allow everybody to come in. So please welcome, join in. We're going to be talking about the importance of reading to our children. Today, I'm going to be making specific recommendations per age group about which books we should read with our children and why. So please come in, get comfortable, and let's get the conversation started in 5 minutes. We are going to have everybody come in and we're going to all talk about, I have all my books right next to me. So this is awesome. Can't wait to show you. And don't forget that if you subscribe to my newsletter, you can get a personalized list of the books with an explanation per age group about why I'm recommending this book, where to buy them, and why is it good for an infant, a toddler, school age, preschool, or a teenager. So awesome. Let's wait 5 minutes, 5 minutes, 5 minutes. This is not, you know what? I need a happy background music. I'm gonna have to get like acquainted with like happy background music that I can use for this type of events. So let's see. Here you go. It's a little better. That's more like me. Okay, 5 minutes. It's not even 1 o'clock yet. So my books here. So this one. For those who are coming in now, we are going to be talking about why is it important to read to our children, and we are going to be talking about specific books and age group to read. So come in, get comfortable. We are going to talk. Welcome in everybody who is starting to join. This is very exciting. We'll be starting in about 3 more minutes. 3 more minutes. Book talk. Age group talk. If you are a parent or an educator interested in learning which books should you bring to your classroom or get in your home, this is a great talk. So I really, really hope everybody who is looking to teach their children joins us today. Oh my God, so exciting. 2 minutes, 2 minutes, and we are going to start talking. I'm going to put my book list right in front of me. Awesome. Oh my God. 2 more minutes. Welcome everybody. Get comfortable. We are going to be talking about the importance of reading to our children and which books. Hi everybody. I'm going to try not to drop my phone. Hi. Welcome, welcome. So good to see you here. If you are an educator and if you are a parent and you are wondering which books you should read to your children, this is, hola Carissa! This is the life for you, okay? I have a bunch of books here that I'm going to be discussing with you. And then if you're interested in a detailed listing with the books, the links to buy them, and with a description as to why they are developmentally appropriate, subscribe to my newsletter. Go to my IG profile and subscribe. I'm gonna give you all of that at the end. So you can have my profile and you can go there and get this list right into your inbox. I had a great engagement last week from our previous talk, and a lot of people were asking about the books that I mentioned. So today we are going to talk about these books. So 1 minute, 60 seconds, and we are going to get started. Thank you everybody who is joining on our live. This is going to be fun. This is going to be super fun. One more minute. Seconds, 30 seconds, and we're going to start our live. Trying to put this book somewhere where they're not gonna fall. All right, I think it's time. No, it hasn't been 30 seconds yet. $30. Well, everyone, welcome to our IG Live. My name is Lissarette Nisnevich, and I'm an early childhood professional. I'm currently pursuing a PhD in developmental psychology, which means I'm learning how children learn and how their brains grow and develop. And it's very exciting for me because I've been an educator for many years, and I actually run a daycare, preschool, and kindergarten in El Barrio, Manhattan. I love what I do. I love working with teachers, and I love working with families. And eventually, my hope is that I'm able to work with all the children that need it without having to worry about my bills. So I think a lot of people want to do this from the heart, but it's a little tough, especially in New York City. So yeah, that's pretty much it. My new children's book is coming out March 1st, and I'll talk about that at the end. So welcome everybody. Let's get right into it. So last week we spoke about why it's important to read with our children. What does this mean, and how can I raise a reader? Many people want to have children who read books, but they don't know how. And so they buy books that look attractive to them, give it to their children, and it ends there. So it actually doesn't. It is an ongoing labor, like about pretty much any acquired skill requires you to put in an effort, especially with children. So how does it start? Remember that reading not only is an ability to learn new things, it is emotional connection with our caregivers, and it is the acquisition of language. And so we have so many positive things that come with reading that we really want our children to get into it as soon as they come into this world. Yes, as soon as they come into this world, because as soon as they are engaging with you, as soon as that child is looking at your face and seeing your mouth move, they're learning how speech works. And so how do you want them to learn how speech works? Well, you usually use sweet and nice words, and you tell them beautiful things, and you make beautiful smiles, and they start to connect with you. They start to understand what it means when you smile. They start to understand what it means when you frown, when you might not be very expressive. And so one of the best ways for you to have a way to talk to your child and encourage them to read, it's a give and receive, to give you back eventually, is with reading. Because a lot of us are really good at talking, but some of us are not. And some of us just are more on the quiet side, and that's okay. And you don't need to feel like, oh my God, I'm not really a storyteller, and that's okay. You have books to help you engage your child those 10-15 minutes a day that could change their life forever. So let's start with infants, those people who have babies from, I'm talking about the baby is a couple of days old, and you can engage with them for 5 seconds, and you can just sing them a song, or you can show them colorful pictures. For infants, we always choose books that have one word per page. It's 5 pages, it's one word, and you read to them at a pace that makes them feel calm and makes them feel that it's a safe activity with you. Because if you get excited and all that, that could like get them into a mood you don't want them to get, that could overstimulate them. And so with infants, we always want to watch our pace. We want to watch how we talk to them and how close we get. Infants love the color red. Their eyes are still adjusting. They are still learning about the world, and so there's certain colors that they still don't see very well. And so as they develop and as they get older, they'll be able to engage better with picture books. I highly recommend books with the color red, orange, titles that pop out from the sheets. So you have a white background and the colors, it's very easy for a baby to engage with this. But more than anything, babies love texture. We start learning in life through our mouth. It's called the oral stage. And so that is why babies take everything and put it in their mouth. This is how they're getting to know the world. And obviously we don't want them to put everything in their mouth because not everything is safe to put in their mouth. But we need to get them things that they actually can do that. And that's why there's a lot of sensory toys and teething toys, and they have a blanket that they might suck on and a pacifier. But when you get them a book that has the ability to be read and be touched, it's amazing. So this book, for me, it's super fun because it has the right colors, and then you can let your baby play with the book. The material is resistant, and it has textures in it that the baby can engage with. So not only you have the story, the colors, the resistance, but the right elements to make reading time productive. Where do you want to go? Yes, you want to tell your child a nice story, but after that nice story, you don't want to take the book and put it away from them so they cannot reach it. You want to be able to share this book with them. And so to have a book that's specially designed for them, it's a blessing. So a sensory book that is made of a good material, that has the engaging colors and the right short words. And so as you're passing the page, the child encounters different textures, but you see how it's always on a white background. So the colors pop out, and the child will always find a way to engage with the red and the orange and the colors that are coming right onto their face, which is exciting for them. You have shapes, and like, look, this is like something that feels over, it's a texture, and this one is another texture. And here you have the same colors I keep talking about and the white background. And so you can engage them with like, look, tap the drum, tap, because it's meant for that. The story can go so many different ways. But what you want for your infant, it's an engaging book that it can physically engage with. So I hope that is good info for you. Another way you can engage with an older infant is with books that they can relate to. And so for that, I have this book. So let's say we have an older infant, almost a toddler, 9 months, maybe 10. We give them books that, again, very resistant material. Children tend to break books. It's really hard for you to engage on the part of, this is not the way we treat books because it might take away from the positive aspect of the experience. If you try the discipline aspect and all of that, you want the experience to be fun. And so it's hard for you to make it fun and also control what they're doing to such an extent. So let's just start safely and let's start on a good note and get very resistant books for our infants and our toddlers. And then we want books that they can see themselves in. I love this book. It's called Pretty Brown Face because of the way it ends. And we're going to get there in a moment. So, buenos dias. So, remember that we are talking about, I should have pinned the topic, books that we can read with our children and why is it important to read from an early age. Right now, we're talking about books for infants. And so, please come in and enjoy the talk. So you see again how we encountered 3 words, right? And it's very short and very sweet. And the babies see things that we do with them and the baby see things that they do, and then they can see a baby. And so it's like, make sure that when you're reading, you're also happy to be reading. Don't just be flat out and then give them the book, because that's the experience they're going to take away from. You want them to feel that it's a fun experience that they can look forward to. And so, you know, it's a pretty brown face. There is so much to see. Oh, look at his hair. And so this book doesn't have texture, but it has really nice pictures. And at the end, which is my favorite part, it has a mirror. And so you can put it in front of their face and tell them, what do you see? Do you see a pretty brown face? Do you see a, you can just make it fun. And what I've encountered with my young students and my own son is that they always go for the mirror. It's like the fun part of the book. So try to get to that end of the story, and then you know how they always ask for you to have mirrors on the baby room? So when they start sitting, there's those baby safe mirrors that you can paste on the wall. So maybe they can go there and they can continue to engage with their image and start to recognize their face. These are books that are not only making that emotional connection with your child, but they are leaving them with a nice message, a message about their self-image, a message about the world, a message that there's books with children like them in it. Oh my God, this is fun. Now comes the technical stuff. So I highly recommend this book, okay, to anybody, like educators and moms and families alike. There's nothing better than to teach your child some sign language. It will save you so many frustrating moments, because one of the reasons why we have tantrums when our children become toddlers, it's because they have no words. They understand what you're saying. They see the world. They have so much to say, and they don't have the vocabulary yet. And so it creates frustration. When you start teaching them sign language from an early age, you save yourself a lot of trouble. This is scientifically proven. How? Well, have you ever been in a situation in which your child wants something and they can't tell you what it is? And you are like, but what is it? What do you want? What do you want? And the child's like, or telling you a word that you have no idea what it means. But that can be saved with literally a hand sign, okay? We have the sign for I'm done, right? I don't want any more. And so it's like, oh, are you done? And you're all done. All done. And so when your child is eating, if you've been reading a book like this, they already know the signs. They'll be able to not verbally tell you, but they might be able to go like this. And you know they're all done. And so you can take them off their feeding chair. So this book is more for you to engage with your child. They have the word for milk, and they tell you exactly how to make the hand gesture. And you can teach your child. There is more. So many children sometimes are eating and they want more. And so this simple gesture tells you that that's what they want. I've had students that this is how they communicate until they're 2. They have the signs, okay, for more. They know how to say, oh, done, and milk. And these are ways that make your life and the life of them easier. So you see how you have more, you have all done, you have the sign for diaper, and dog, cat for the people who have children. There is a sign for it hurts. This is a difficult thing for a child to express, like I'm in pain or it hurts. So it's good to have a sign for that. Help me, very important. And obviously, mommy and daddy, right? So I want my mommy, or you already know, and I want my daddy. So highly recommend to review. Welcome everybody who just joined in. We're talking about book recommendations per age group. No, it doesn't matter if you're a parent or an educator. These are books that will help you create a routine and raise a reader. So we spoke about sensory books with white backgrounds and colors that pop. A book that is hard so your child can engage with it safely, and you don't have to buy 100 books within a month. Books that tell them that the world has a place for them and that engages them in stories where they can see things that they see at home, which is great. And that has a little surprise at the end. So it has like a little mirror so they can engage and look forward to that part of the book. And finally, a book where you can both learn something new, something that's going to help you, okay, in your journey as an educator, as a family, as a parent. Now, remember that you can write your questions, okay, so I can answer them at the end, or you can send them to me via email or on my Instagram. I'm happy to help you out. So now we're going to move on to toddler books. And the main difference between a book for a toddler and a book for an infant is the quantity of words. So you have now a child that could engage for a longer time in a little bit of a longer story. And so you want to pick books that are fun and that are bringing concepts without bringing concepts. Let me explain. You want to teach your children about numbers and about letters and all of this fun stuff that you and I know are important and useful. But you cannot, and I repeat, you cannot engage a child with a book that's precisely, these are the numbers, and we're going to count 1, 2, because they are going to be bored. I believe even you as an adult would be bored if somebody starts like, okay, we're going to explain this, and it's just so technical. So the way to really engage toddlers is by giving them a book that's about the topic, but disguised with something else. One of my favorite books for that is The Very Hungry Caterpillar. The Very Hungry Caterpillar engages themes of you can count, you have colors, you have the names of fruits. It has beautiful colors that will engage the child, and it's a fun story. And so it's actually my son's favorite book. So maybe I'm biased, but I believe that this is a great example of a starter book for a toddler. Now, you know what you can introduce if you know your child and they already know their way around books? Pop-up books. Pop-up books are so fun. I don't think I brought any no. And I'm not going to run to get one, but pop-up books are those books that you open and they have something pop up or something that you lift the flap and you can see. It's exciting. It's the idea that they're doing something for themselves that gets them engaged with the story. One of the best series I've seen for those books, are Canticos. Canticos by Susie Jaramillo. She's doing a wonderful job by incorporating not only the bilingual aspect into the books, but the books are engaging and entertaining for toddlers. And so you have books like Los Pollitos, Little Chickies, Elefantitos, Ratoncitos, with those traditional songs from Latin America from when we were children, plus the lift the flap or like the engaging part, physical, sensory engaging part on the book, and at the same time a fun story. So highly recommend the Canticos bilingual books, highly recommend pop-up books for toddlers, and highly recommend stories that have concepts within them, but it's not directly about the concept. The Very Hungry Caterpillar, Brown Bear, What Do You See? Remember that if you want this list on your inbox after this talk, you just have to subscribe to my newsletter. This whole list with descriptions of the books and where to obtain them is available for anybody for free. Just send me your email on my newsletter and I'll have it for you. Now we're going to get to the fun ones. And I'm not saying all the others are not fun, but these are, for me, are the funnest ones because I can engage with them in a way where we can talk and they can tell you what they're thinking. And so, okay, this music just got like really weird out of nowhere. So what we are going to do is talk about preschoolers. So preschoolers are in this fun stage in which they can actually engage in a short and simple conversation. So they might ask you questions. And what you want to do when they ask you questions is always leave it open-ended. What does that mean? Don't give them questions that is yes or no. because that's it. The conversation is over. Give them questions that will make them think. Encourage that critical thinking. Encourage them to think for themselves. Maybe they want to take the story another way. Let them do that. Let them see where their imagination can take them. How far can they go? And so one of my favorite books for preschoolers, I mean, all of these are amazing. I'm going to start with, oh my God, okay. This is like one of my favorite books. Like me, an adult, and I enjoyed going over these pages. And it has a dust jacket, but my son loves to take the dust jacket off. And this is my book, actually. I have it in my office because he takes the dust jacket off because he thinks the book should be like this. Anyway, welcome everybody who just joined. We are talking about book recommendations for age group. We have already spoken about infants, toddlers, and we're now on preschoolers. Don't forget that if you want this information on your inbox, all you have to do is sign up for my newsletter. All right, so preschoolers, they love stories that are funny. We all love a good joke. And I love that. And so what I love about this book is that the whole story is a build-up for a joke. So the cool thing about One Cool Friend, which is a great funny story, is that the illustrations are easy to engage with because it's like 3 colors, literally. And it's like this double page packed action. And the story is simple enough for anybody to relate to. It's a trip to the zoo and a little surprise about that trip to the zoo when our friend decides to take another friend home. So I highly recommend this book for anybody who has a curious toddler who loves to engage and talk and ask questions about, oh, but why? But why did that happen? And when your child tells you, you're reading the book and you're like, yeah, and he went to the zoo and oh my God, he took the penguin home. And the child might be like, oh my God, why did they take the penguin home? You can say, why do you think? And I assure you, I guarantee you, they're going to have an answer. When your child asks you something, they already know. They want to see what you're going to say. And the fact that you validate them and you give them the opportunity to tell you their stories makes them feel validated. Makes them feel that what they're thinking matters. And that's important because they're going to grow up and be confident people. And we want that. We don't want them to feel that their opinion and stories are less important than anybody else's. So encourage them and teach them that you want to hear what they have to say, especially when reading fun books. Another great story that I recommend is Life Doesn't Frighten Me. Now, this particular book I recommend because many people don't know how to help children that have anger issues. And we sometimes encounter toddlers that have a really, really hard time with their emotions. This is normal and expected for a child that's between 12 months and between 3 years old. Having emotions is normal. Feeling a certain way is normal. Not like it's important for people to understand that you're not happy all the time, neither is your child. Welcome to everybody who just joined. We are talking about books that we could read with our infant, toddlers, preschoolers, and school-age children. And I see that Carissa says, sometimes my son and I rewrite the stories we read. That is awesome. I love that. And yes, you can totally rewrite the story. And if you can draw, which I do with my son, you can just, okay, how does that look like? Let's go sit down and do that. And now you not only have a reading activity, but you're incorporating a craft. And that, it's, well, obviously fun for your child and fun for you. But again, always remember that you are creating this emotional connection with this human being that's going to be part of your life for the rest of your life. If you're the parent, of course, and if you're family. So it's important that they remember you as that person who told them how to write stories or told them that stories can be made up and that their imagination, it's a wonderful place that they can go to whenever they want. So this book, it's called Life Doesn't Frighten Me, and it's by Maya Angelou, and the paintings are by Jean-Michel Basquiat. And so the book can help a child that doesn't have enough vocabulary to express that they're feeling upset, angry, but the drawings are drawings that a child can relate to when they're feeling a certain way. As you can see, these are things that we might see a preschooler draw. And then instead of judging them for putting that on paper, we should encourage them to put it on paper, since the words are not there to really tell you, hey, listen, I am feeling a little bit upset right now and I really want to punch the wall. Or I might feel the urge to hurt myself because I don't have words to tell you that this is overwhelming. It's making me feel anxious. They're not going to tell you that. They're going to go and start hitting themselves on the wall. They're going to go and push somebody. And our reaction is usually negative. But when you introduce these conversations in an age-appropriate way, and you talk about the things you see, then things become easier. And children understand that the world and the things they're experiencing are not as scary. I spoke about this book last week. Where is Drawn Together? Aha, here it is. Now this is another of my favorite. I think all of the books I put on the list are my favorite books. These are some of my favorite things. This book is called Drawn Together. And Drawn Together is a story that many of us immigrants can relate to. And the reason why we can relate to it is because it's the story of a grandpa, immigrant grandpa who doesn't speak English, and his grandson who was born and raised here, and so he just speaks English. And mom and dad go and drop off this little child on grandpa's home to babysit, but they can't engage. And this is also the power of stories, because as you can see, the way the author explains is like grandpa is here and this obviously illegible, and then the child is speaking in English, and so they always look disconnected because language connects us. Yes, Aderica. There's going to be a list. You just have to subscribe to my newsletter, and I'll send you the list directly into your inbox with the link where to buy the books and the descriptions and why I recommend them. So how they find connection and how we can find connection with other people. As someone who has been around the world, I've connected with people I don't even speak one word in common with. And we've connected through drawings, through food, I've used the iPhone to translate, but I have friends I still don't speak their language, and they are my friends. I can still text them right now and engage in some fun conversation with the help of translation, but still. And so how they engage, which is my favorite part, it's by drawing. The grandson draws in color, and the grandpa draws black and white using ink. And the whole book just engages in this adventure in which they communicate with their drawing. And in the end, the grandson ends up wanting to visit grandpa again because he found a way to connect with him. So this is a book about connection, and it's a great conversation starter, especially for those parents or educators that have children that can't connect with an older generation because they don't speak the language. And it's hard because culture is connection. It's hard to connect and understand other people and where they're coming from when you don't know anything about their culture. And sometimes it's hard to learn because they can't tell you. So find ways to connect. A book is a tool for connection. Now, welcome everybody who just joined us. We are talking about books, the importance of reading to our children, why are books important, and which books I recommend depending on the age group. And don't forget, this list of books will be available for free. All you have to do is sign up for my newsletter on my IG at Lissarette. So let's move now to school-age children. School-age children can be a little bit more complex because now we have children who can tell you the things they like and they don't. And they might not want to engage with reading because many people think reading is boring. I don't think so. But I'm also a weirdo, so my opinion is kind of biased. So when you have a school-age child, you want to find books that are related to things that they've lived, that they might want to live, or stories that are interesting. A few of my recommendations are, I'm going to start with the I picked this book, and my husband was like, why would you pick this book? I'm like, the story is dope. So I love this book. The illustrations are amazing, and it's based on a true story. It's a story that happened in India, in which two girls that were abandoned in the jungle were raised by wolves. And there's an actual, at the end of the book, which is the part that like got me. Okay, so here's like the actual picture of the two girls when they found them. These girls were raised by wolves. They were about 2 years old when they were found, and they obviously were completely absent of language. But it's an exciting story that's illustrated, and it comes from a different culture that teaches children something that would never probably happen here. But this is something that actually happens often in this region of the world. And so it has the children on an orphanage meet the wolf girls, like they call them, for the first time. And you see, the orphanage brings the little girls to live with them, and so it surrounds the story with this one particular girl who engages with the wolf girls and makes it her mission to teach them how to make friends. And eventually, obviously, it happens. And so it gives you at the end resources, so you can visit a website and see the organization that rescued them, and like how they help them integrate themselves back with other children. But I honestly think this is an amazing story of hope, and of connection with nature. I mean, imagine talking about being raised by wolves in the wild. When obviously they're wild animals, we fear them, but like this is a connection with nature that maybe we've lost. And that's a great conversation starter with a 10, 11-year-old that probably has a lot of opinions about things, and you probably heard them. Now, when talking about those stories, I'm going to move on to Wave at the end, and my son took the dust jacket off. This is another of my favorite stories. It's called Tea with Milk. And this is another story that you can have a conversation with your child that will be very interesting, because it's about a girl who is born and raised in the US and then has to relocate to her parents' home, which is Japan. And so when she gets there, she is for everyone a foreigner. But she's in an international school, and she's learning all this English and all of that, and she's like, I already know this. And so it's a story about cultural connection. It's a story about family, culture, and roots. And so an amazing conversation starter of a young adult who is trying to find her place, and it's relocating. So that makes it even more difficult, but it's a great book to start difficult conversations with your children about culture, connection, relocation, and things that may or may not be happening to you. Finally, I love this book. No, it's not because it's pink. But first, the illustrations are incredible. And they have to be because the book has one particular aspect that I highly recommend for even preschoolers sometimes, but more than anything for young adults. Flora and the Flamingo, it's a book with no words. And so when you pass the pages, what you encounter, it's not only an interactive book, but a book in which you can create your own story. And obviously the illustrations are telling you things. It's about a girl who's dancing with a flamingo, and that's fun, but it doesn't tell you, it doesn't give you the story. And so it's a great opportunity for children to create their own story. And you can create a different story every time you read it. So I think this is a great book for toddler, preschoolers, and young adults. But the fact that it has a lot of images makes me move it to the school age books, just because a toddler might get tired, because it's a pretty, I find that it's a pretty long book. But such an amazing concept. The same concept of Wave. Wave is a book by Susie Lee with no words as well. Oh my God, Carissa, you need to subscribe so I can send you the list, because there's so many of these books and they're amazing. And so when you open the book, it's just literally the story of a little girl that goes to the beach with her mom and encounters a wave. And again, I'm telling you this because I read the book. It has no words. And so the book starts with the girl being followed by the seagulls and looking at the ocean. And the amazing thing of just using charcoal and watercolor for the ocean. And she continues to engage with the waves. And I'm not going to tell you the ending or the plot per se because I will ruin it for you. But highly recommend this book for kids who love to talk. And sometimes you might be reading a book to them and they don't even let you finish because they have so much to say. This type of books with no words allow them to say everything they want and some more. And at that point, you really want to be having conversations with your children because you want to know what they're thinking. You want to know what's happening in their lives. You want to know what are their hopes and dreams. I believe that, reading creates connection. We established that. Starting this routine from early age, it's very important. Raising readers, it's hard work and dedication. You need to engage and you need to create a reading zone and a reading time every day. But more than anything, what are you taking away from this experience yourself? Because you cannot just see it as this task that you have to do every day. You should see it as a way to also get to know your child. What kind of books does my child want to read? What things does my child like? And you will not be able to understand that if you are like many of us that work 8 a.m. until 10 p.m. and 8 a.m. until 10 p.m. I'm sorry. 8 a.m. until 6 p.m. What 10 p.m.? I mean, there's probably people who work that long. But 8 a.m. until 6 p.m. you get home, your child has been in school or with family or with a caregiver. How much time do you have to talk to them? How much time do you have to get to know them? The weekend, and you might be exhausted. You might not even be listening, and it's not your fault. The system is designed this way. And it's hard for us to find quality time with our children. So 15 minutes reading time every day before bed could change your life forever with this human being. Because what they want the most is to be with you, and it may not be possible because you have to work and provide, but those 15 minutes can really change their life. So I highly recommend getting my book list, getting those books as the stages come, and making reading a really important part of your family life. You won't regret it. You won't regret it. I promise you. I read with my son every day more than I should because he really loves it. And I've learned more about him through the books than I could with having conversations because he is experiencing a speech delay. And so he expresses himself differently. And the way I get to know the things he wants is by engaging with the books and the pictures and then singing songs about the books. So, oh my God, this has been amazing. I am trying to think if I forgot anything or if I forgot to share anything. But for infants and toddlers, I also recommend books about music. If your child is animated, this is a really good one too. I actually have the Shakeré, which you can get it online, but here in Harlem, we have the African market where you can buy directly from people who hand make this and support them. So if that's something you want to do, highly recommend visiting the African market on 116th Street and getting things that might connect your child to African culture made by African people who reside and live here in Harlem. And so Shakeré is a book about shake, and it's very repetitive. So very, very fun for toddlers. Shake, 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 shake. You see? And then your child might start repeating. Shake, shake, shake. Shakeré, shakeré. Shake, shake, shake. And every time you shake, you can shake so your child understands the correlation between the word and what it means. If you have any questions, please put them on the chat. I'm happy to answer. And I believe we are reaching the end of our talk today. I want to thank everybody who joined and came in to learn more about what books to read with our children. Why is reading important? And if you would like the list of the books I've shared here, subscribe to my newsletter by going to my profile and clicking on my link tree. I'm happy to share any information and support anyone who wants to learn more about their child's development. That's what I'm studying for. And so it's fun for me to do it. Let me just stop the music and thank everyone for coming. It's been an absolute pleasure. My name is Lissarette Nisnevich. I'm an early childhood professional. My new children's book about diversity and acceptance is coming out on March 1st. And it's based on my own family, my own multiracial family, where we have a son that's from 2 different backgrounds and one wonderful person. So my book called LD is about a little toddler bear that has wings. And so how did that happen? And will LD be able to make friends because he looks different? He doesn't look like other bears. This is a great book for parents who want to start a conversation about people who are different than them. And how can we approach those people? Humans tend to be afraid of things they don't understand and things that look different. And so it's important to have these conversations with our children so we can have a super duper better future and world. Thank you so much, everybody, for coming. It was a pleasure. Don't forget to subscribe to my newsletter. And I will see you next week at 1 p.m. for our final reading on this series of the importance of reading to our children. Bye-bye.